Huh?
This item, right. This item.
Okay, switch.
What's wrong?
Yeah, I don't, he figures all this stuff out.
Wife says I
Another wonderful, sunshiny North Country day on July 29th, 2003. I don't know what I did to deserve all of this, but maybe Mark Allen lived right. One of us had to anyway. Hello again for our little corner. We're at Lee's Custom Homes,
Lee
right?
Custom Homes too. That's correct.
With Mark Allen. This is a show we wanted to do for a long time because everybody's interested in the construction business. Especially in this day and age with finances the way they are, people are buying and selling homes and building new homes.
They
and
certainly are.
we had about 3 appointments set up with Mark in the past, and he said, I'm sorry, I'm just too cotton picking busy. You guys will have to come back. So we did, and we're here, and we're finally going to tell the story. If you ever wanted to know what the process is like to get some property, to get all the testing and the permits, and finally build the home of your dreams, I hope we're going
We
to
can do
find
that.
out today. You and Lori have been around here for a long time. How long have you been in this business, Mark?
Lori and I have been in this business for 15 years. We started in...
He still seems like a teenager to me. I cannot believe it.
Well, thank you,
15
Brett. Flattery
Wow.
will get you everywhere, Gordy.
Oh, boy. 15 years.
15 years, that's correct, yes. I kind of started on a whim. My father-in-law, Lee, and my mother-in-law, Lee and Joyce Parati, started Lee Custom Homes 1 back in '67, to be exact.
Wow.
They started building, actually they started with what's called Paragon Homes, which is a kit.
I remember.
Remember that?
Yeah.
And they were quite successful with that. In 1971, they became Lee Custom Homes. And from there, they started doing some subdividing and building several homes. In fact, Lee, I guess he thinks it's quite nice. In 1967, they built 67 homes, which was
Oh, is
which
that
was
cool?
that's real cool. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Anyway, Lori and I, we got going in 1984. I was working for the state at the time as an EAP coordinator. And I started working for my father-in-law, who actually wasn't my father-in-law at the time. And I realized that every aspect of the job, and I got to do the tarring of the walls and the digging and with shovel, sweating and stones and those kind of things. I got to do that part of it at first, but even then I enjoyed that part of it. And, from there, I kind of graduated to the framing department. Thought I had it made.
Oh,
thought it was
yeah,
thought it
up
was
in
at
the
the top of
world.
the
Yeah.
thought it was the top of the barrel, which I enjoyed that a lot as well. And then it just came about where actually Lee and Joyce gave each of their children a lot, and I came to Lee one day and said, "What do I do with that lot?" And he said, "Build a house on it. You'll learn. That's one way to learn."
Yeah.
So we did. We got the crew together and we built the house, and we sold it before it was built, which was nice. And from there, we started Lee Custom Homes 2, second generation. It was nice because a lot of the people that Lee and Joyce had, because Lee and Joyce were going to retire, were looking for work. So we were able to take some of those people on. Nice for me because a lot of them had a lot of experience. And they taught me, actually, as we went along. So we started building 5 or 6 homes at the time. We had a little office in our house right over here in Hilltop, as a matter of fact. And we grew from there. When you came by into the subdivision here, you came by the big gray barn. We had an office in there, 1986, 87,
I
88.
almost stopped there today. He said, Calvin said, no, we got to keep going.
Right. We had Susie Cahoon started with us at that time, and she's still with us, as a matter of fact. We had just 3 employees. We had 1 employee in the office with about, I believe, 7 or 8 employees out in the sites. And at the time, we had a lot of subcontractors that we worked with. However, since then, well, actually, we grew into 35 homes a year. And we've now downsized it a bit. We're now down to 25 because my employees said, that's too much. Put some reins on that guy. Pull him in a little bit. Don't sell
That
so
is
many
a lot
houses.
even 25 is quite a
Well, we find 25 is a perfect situation for our company. We start 2 houses a month is the way our program works. We do work throughout the year. We don't stop in the wintertime. January, February, March, that weather doesn't stop us at all. We take precautionary methods when we're building in the wintertime. But we've grown. We have 40 employees now.
Wow.
Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yes, we have 40 employees. Out of the 40, 30 of them are employees by the hour. People work for us by the hour. And then 10 of those 40 are subcontractors. For example, our concrete people, because we can't keep a concrete crew busy more than maybe 3 days a week. They fill Moore's Concrete does other contractors besides herself. The same true with the sheetrocking business. Kenny Fassett and his crew, they do a couple of the other builders in town. But other than that, it's just our people. When you go to the jobs that you go to today, the people you see there will be our people that we're consistent. You know, we have the same people from job to job, which is nice for me. All I have to do is sit at this desk and sell enough houses to keep all these people busy, which, as you said earlier, Gordy, it's a very easy time to do that. The interest rates are certainly working for us. And I find a lot of people want the North Country. We have people that have retired from the Air Force, and they came back to Plattsburgh, and we're building a lot of those people houses, which makes me feel good. We're getting a flow of people from Burlington as well coming over to Plattsburgh, finding the Burlington market is not affordable, or the builders are just too busy for them over there. We're having a lot of we're building a lot of homes for people that are working at IBM and places in Burlington and traveling across the ferry daily. We're also finding that I think it's not so much the economy, it's the demographics of things. There's a lot of people in my age, I was going to say in your age, Gordy.
Yeah, never mind, your age.
All right.
Yeah.
In our age that are finding that they're growing out of the houses that they're in. They're finding that a friend of theirs built a house. They go to a party and find that with the new interest rates, the lower interest rates, and with them selling their house and having some equity in it, they can now afford the house of their dreams, as you said earlier. So that we're real happy to say, because we suffered in 93, 94, 95, and 96 when the base closed and the Canadian dollar went down in great deal. We suffered. You know, we went out and we took houses on trade. We did everything we could do to keep our company rolling, and thank goodness now that we have been able to keep our company rolling, and I guess we're prospering a little bit at this point, which we hope.
Some of the things you said I find interesting, because Calvin and I spent a lot of time promoting Clinton County and the North Country. We think it's a pretty special place to live and work.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter who we talk to, what business they're in, they say, this is a wonderful place to do business and live and work. It's small enough so you know a lot of people, and yet in your case, there's still land available at reasonable prices, and you can build a house here for a lot less money than you can in at least 50 other markets that I can think of around the nation.
You're right.
And not to mention the beautiful scenery we have, the aesthetics.
We'll see that today throughout the jobs that we go to. It is a very nice place to live, Gordy. Lori and I do get to travel some, and I can't think of a spot that we've been to that is as beautiful as the North Country. You take the lake into consideration, take the mountains, and in fact, we're branching up into Lake Placid. We have 2 homes.
Are you really?
Yes, we are.
Oh.
Yeah, we're proud to say that. We have 3 homes going up there right now, as a matter of fact, and we've been up there in the last couple of years. And I was up there yesterday, in fact, and the only thing I can say, it makes it hard to leave when you're up there for the day.
It sure does.
But it's almost like it's not work when I get to go up there for the day and enjoy it.
I want our viewers to stay with us today, because you're going to get the whole picture. If somebody's been thinking about building a house, moving, any aspect of the house construction business, stay with us, because we're going to see a lot of aspects. There's far more there than meets the eye.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, there is.
When it
There
comes
is a
to
lot
getting
more.
the land, getting the permits, getting the contractor lined up, getting all the products you need, and to satisfy everybody. Of course, since you've been in business, you've never made a single mistake, right?
My checkbook will tell you how many mistakes I made, Gordy.
It's difficult.
That's impossible not to make mistakes in this business.
But, you know, in the beginning, you have to fly by the seat of your pants and learn the business and learn by those mistakes until you got the respect of the community.
I proudly say that with the employees that we have right now, with the team of employees we have right now, Gordy, we're very, very proud of them, and we have an excellent staff. They work through the problems majority of the time without me, in need of me. I have to give my wife a lot of credit too. She's behind. She's the brains behind the organization.
Isn't that always true? Huh?
Well, it is very much true.
At least on camera.
Well, I even tell her this though. She's the brains behind the operation, and she's down in the ditches doing all the subdivision work, which I always tell people that without the lots, we can't build the houses, and that's something we're getting into now is developing. It's very expensive. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time involved, but it has to be. If we're going to build our 25 homes a year, which we need to do, we're going to need to do the lots for those 25 houses, and that's where she comes in. Part of her picture is that, her going out and working with the Department of Health and working with the engineers and the surveyors and the road superintendents of the different towns. I give her a lot of credit. She makes things come together, and I'll take the credit, but I'll give her the credit.
So much has to happen between the time you decide to do a job, to turning over the first shovelful, to turning the key. A lot of things behind the scenes that people don't even realize. And we're going to see some various stages today. What are we going to look at?
We're going to have fun today. We're going to the first thing that we're going to look at is actually the beginning process of a subdivision. We have 5 major subdivisions that we have going right now. One of them is an extension of here in Hilltop Estates. My father-in-law, as a matter of fact, who's retired, he calls himself retired. He's over on a machine doing some backhoe work with the Department of Health and with an engineer checking out the soils. We're going to take a look at a basement being poured. We're going to see the footers going in. It's a job that we're doing up in Silver Lake. Well, it's not all the way in Silver Lake. It's on the Silver Lake Road. From there, we're going to go to a framing job. Right now we have 11 different houses going in different parts of the process, and we're going to see a frame job after we look at the concrete going in. And then we're going to see a septic system going in, show how that works out. We're going to see a road going in a subdivision as well. We're going to see the actual siding of a house. We've got some of that going on today. And then there comes our public relations, our little onyx there. That's our public relations. We have her set up in our in our home building planner. We're also going to see the finished end of a house, which is the last 2 weeks, where we'll probably see a lot of people, a lot of different trades in that part of the house. They're going to be painting, they're going to be putting flooring down, they're going to be trimming, they're going to be doing cleaning, so we're going to see that part of it as well. So I think we'll see pretty much from the beginning stages to the end stages, the process, which I think you'll have fun today doing that.
So many interesting things to learn in our little corner. We thank you for watching our show. Stay with us today. Onyx won't lead us astray.
No, she sure won't. She sure won't.
All right, we stepped outside into the parking lot, and over our shoulder, there's some activity going on, Mark. What's going on over there?
Yes, there is, Gordy. Yes, there is. We're extending Hilltop Estates into more lots. And as I was saying earlier, my retired father-in-law, is over on the machine, and he's with the Department of Health, and along with Peter Gibbs, an engineer, and they're doing deep hole test and perk test. The deep holes will tell the Department of Health of how big the septic systems have to be, and the perk test will tell us how many feet of leach line actually that we need in the subdivision for each lot, for each house. This is the beginning stages of a subdivision. We have to do these kind of things and get all the reports together, send them back to the Department of Health, and then they come back to our engineer with suggestions and different items that we would need or what we wouldn't need. This subdivision has town water, so it's more lenient because of the fact we have town water and not wells.
Tell people what a subdivision is. We'll make believe everybody.
Well, okay, very good point. There's 2 different types of. Anytime you take a parcel of land and divide it into more than one lot, it's considered a subdivision. Minor subdivision is 4 lots or smaller. Major subdivision is 5 lots or larger. We find that most of the people that are building homes these days do like the subdivision living because most of them have children, and the children want to have other children to play with. So we find that the subdivision is much more popular. So subdivision is any lot that is subdivided into more than one. We have 5 subdivisions going right now. The smallest is a 4-lot subdivision up across from Gordon's Bait and Tackle on Route 3. We have a 4-lot subdivision going there called Ponderosa Heights. We have a 13-lot subdivision, which would be east of Harrigan's Tasty Freeze. Everybody knows where that is, Gordy.
That's
Gordy,
a good landmark for me.
You know where that one is. Just east of that, on the north side of the road, there's a 13-lot subdivision called Northwood. Then we have subdivided 19 lots up by Walt Bull Trailer Sales off Kennedy Road.
Yep.
We have 19 lots up there. We have 49 lots, which we're going to be traveling shortly on Soper Road called Breezy Meadow. I don't know if you remember Dick Mahar, where he used to land his plane.
I sure do.
Well, that's houses now in through there. No planes landing there these days.
Okay.
We hope, anyway. Also, we have a subdivision up of the Beartown Road. Everybody knows their
Yep.
children were probably doing some skiing up there.
Beartown.
I know I used to. We have 65 lots going in that subdivision. So a subdivision is what you see here in Hilltop. Nicer houses, 1 acre lots, or possibly smaller. Some of the lots we have are a little smaller than that, and some of them are a little larger than that. But we do find that's what people are after, subdivisions.
Just to pinpoint our location, we're at Hilltop Estates off Route 22B, known as Beckwith Street to the locals.
Right, I forgot about that.
Up the hill outside of Morrisonville, heading for Peru. Is this all the clearing you're going to be doing for this subdivision, or is there more back there?
No, actually, the tree line is just about the end of the subdivision. This will be open meadow lots, and that's interesting also. We find some people like the wooded sites, which we have in Hidden Hills, which is up by Beartown, and then other people like this open setting. I think a lot of it had to do with from the ice storm, when a lot of people lost trees around their house. They said, we don't want any trees at all.
Isn't
We like
that
this open
interesting?
setting.
Yeah.
What we do here is we plant trees. My father-in-law and mother-in-law have a tree planter, and we plant trees here in front of people's lawns, so they can kind of pick and choose the trees that they want. But it is a mixed people. Some people want seclusion, and the ones that do, we have subdivisions available for that reason. But the tree line you see down there where the machine is working, that is the end of the subdivision. That's owned by another property and another property owner south of here.
And at what point in time can people drive by here and see houses out there?
Oh, let's see. From this process to the actual building process, we're talking about 9 to 12 months before we can. That's how long, as I said. That's the hidden things that happen between today's perk test and deep holes to actually houses going in the ground. 6 months would be moving very, very rapidly. 9 to 12 months.
Surely by late summer 2004,
Oh, you'll see some homes over there by that time.
little kids running around and all
That's
kinds
the rewarding part. I find it very rewarding. I should have said that earlier. That you take a piece of metal like that, and after you start the house, 90 to 100 days later, you walk in and you've got people in the living room, and it's very rewarding at Christmas. I tend to have fun, and I get my Santa Claus suit on and go and knock on the doors of the houses. And
go as a team, right, Calvin? Wouldn't that be? I do
that is the
every
most
year, too.
rewarding for
It's
me
a lot
to
of fun,
see.
isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is a good time.
That's great. Well, let's take a ride. What do you say?
Let's take a ride.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, we've moved locations with Mark Allen of Lee Custom Homes 2. You brought me up on top of a wonderful hill here. Where are we?
We are what we call our Breezy Meadow subdivision. This is 114 acres. We're going to have a total of 49 houses here when we're completed, which is about 3 miles south of downtown Morrisonville. You know where that is, Gordy.
Yes, I know where beautiful downtown Morrisonville is here. We were talking about, before we moved in here, we were talking about roadways, how they get turned over and how they get built. Let's get into that a little bit.
The beginning stages, an engineer comes out to the site and they do site preparation, they do site tests, they do, what am I trying to say here? They do, they evaluate the soils and find out what we need for gravel, what we need for base coat. We bring those plans to the town. The town engineer at that point reviews what we've given them and approve it or disapprove it. If they disapprove it, they tell us what they would like. From that point, we start our construction. Normally, for example, this road, we have 12 inches of rough gravel base due to the fact there was some clay in the area. While we're doing the construction, we call the road superintendent and the engineer from the town. They come out and inspect our work. They do different tests while we're proceeding with the road. On top of that 12 inches of base, here there are 4 inches of gravel. And then on top of the gravel, the finished product, what you see here is 3 inches of asphalt from Plattsburgh Quarries. And then on top of that goes 1 inch of what's called armor coat, which is the finish. Some towns, it all depends on which town that you're working in, some towns require you not to put the finish coat down until all the trucks have come in and the construction of the houses is complete. Then the town, what you do is you put a bond up for the town, and the town at that time either has you do it at the end or they use your bond money and they put the top down. Each town is different, though. We're working with the town of Plattsburgh and another subdivision, and actually they do the tarmacking in their town. Here in the town of Scholar Falls, the developer is responsible for the tarmacking. And then, of course, the ditches are an important factor of the subdivision. Depending on the slope of the property, if there's more of a slope like what there is here, the ditches are a little deeper. Then you get into DEC in Army Corps of Engineers if you're in wetland areas. Excuse me. What you have to deal with there is what's called wet bottom basins. That's all a turn now from March 10th, 2003 forward. Any developer that develops more than 1 acre, which all developments would be more than 1 acre, you have to do what's called detention basins. Think of it as a tub that you take a bath in and pull a stopper out. If it rains more than 1 or 2 inches, the tub fills up and then slowly goes through the stopper and out into the wetlands. In fact, the wetlands are just where Calvin's pointing the camera, are just down about 500 feet the other side of Soper Street. So here, because the wetlands are located there and the slope of the hill is all towards the wetlands, excuse me, we had to take some special precautionary methods for this detention basins. In fact, we've just completed it. Mr. Sutherland, Bob Sutherland's people have just pulled in and they're checking the detention basins as we speak. If they approve them, which we hope they do, then we go to a town board meeting, Town of Scholar Falls board meeting, and they will accept the detention basins, and at that time they'll accept the roads. We dedicate and deed the roads over to the town, and then from there forward they maintain them and they take care of them from that point forward.
So much goes on behind the scenes. That's an amazing explanation, yes. And I'm sure most laymen like myself have no idea. So this is an education process for me.
And it was for me as well.
Oh my goodness! What are we going to see in this house?
We're going to go inside. We're going to see Norm Gregor and Mike Gents, our electricians. They're putting rough wiring in the house. Prior to this, Kyle Sweener, and who was one of our project managers, he came with the clients who were building this for Tim and Gina Bond. They live in the little white house just down the street there at this point. We're going to be looking at the electrical. What I was getting at is Kyle came with them last Thursday and asked the clients what they were looking for cable TVs, telephone jacks, where they wanted fans, where they wanted double switching, dimmer switches, and those kind of things. We got all that information from them. At this point, Norm and Mike are inside actually doing that work. This house, for example, started, let's see, I get the right date here, about the end of May. And we will have a completion date at the end of September. The people will be moving in here, so we're rapidly going along with this house. So we'll see some rough electricals, what we're going to look at, Gordy.
Well, let's go do it.
Okay, very good. I think he's got lunch for you, Mike. You better get down here.
Oh, lunch. These guys are catching me with all kinds of food talk. I got back from Coles Creek camping a couple of days ago, and I realized that I was, not for the first time in the last few years, that I was way overweight. So I started that crazy Atkins diet. So what do? I walk into Mark's place. He said, Gordy, I was just down to see Jerry Ramback. Look what I got. And he had yums and a whole
Jerry
plate
knew
full
just
of
what you liked.
Yeah, what I used to like.
What you used to like.
What I still like, but I can't have today. So it's a good thing we're having fun doing this show, because that for about 20 seconds there, that was kind of torture.
I'm sorry. If I'd have known that, I wouldn't have done it.
We're in the house. We're in the house here, and what's going on? I just saw Norm as I came by.
Yes, Norm hid upstairs. We're going to get Norm down here in a minute and make Norm talk a little bit on here. But what we're doing at this house, as we were saying outside, we're doing all of our rough wiring. That has to be done, of course, before the insulation and the sheetrock come along. Tomorrow, as a matter of fact, our plumbers will hit here. Our plumbing and heating specialists will hit here, and they'll be running copper lines, they'll be running plastic lines, they'll be running the heat pipes as well. The whole thing behind this is to get the electrical where it needs to be, very important before the sheetrock goes on, because it's very difficult to be tearing sheetrock off. So that's why it's important to get our coordination going from our office, from the managers from the office, to get things going in the right direction. Of course, there's other things that we have to remember when we're doing this. Is we have codes to go by. There's New York State codes, and they change in the electrical department. I don't know how Norm and Mike keep up with it. They change literally monthly.
Oh yeah.
In fact, this just last short time ago, we found that we had to put. I got to get the right terminology. Not only smoke detectors, but a carbon monoxide tester in each part of the house, which is important to have, of course, with a boiler going in the basement. that's what we're hearing now. We're hearing Norm and Mike put the electrical wiring through the house. And of course, one of the very, how do I say it properly, one of the very important parts of the house, because not done, without this done properly, there could be some very serious outcomes from it. So I want to get Norm down here because Norm's been with this company actually longer than I have. He'll tell you how long, I think he'll tell you how long anyway he's been doing this, but it is an interesting part of the job, an important part of the job as well.
All right, it's great to see the job from the inside out, from the bottom to the top, and we'll do that today. Calvin mentioned the cross-bridging up here, the metal cross-bridging. Very interesting.
Right, very important part of the product, actually. That is one thing I found in the last 15 years of the building process, is that there's a lot of small details to this job. And to do the house right, these small things, not a very expensive part of the project. I would say a box of cross-bridging, exactly, I can tell you exactly what they run, about $14. But without those in that place that they are, this is a 28-foot deep house. These floor joists are 2x10s. The span is about 13 feet 6 inches. Without those in place, we all know that material these days comes a little bit green. It is kiln dried, but it comes a little green. These cross-bridging keep these floor joists from twisting as the house dries out. And the benefit there is you'll get very few squeaks with these in place, and also you'll get a lot more support. The floor joist, if you're walking up in that bedroom upstairs, you'll feel no bounce at all. So a small product that is important in the building business.
That's something. I never happened to see them made out of metal before, but what a great idea.
Well, the wooden ones, Gordy, we found from years ago will squeak as the nails dry out.
Yes.
The steel ones won't squeak.
I love it. See, you learn something every day.
Now, we usually put,
Yeah, we came upstairs here, and you're talking about this this box in the middle of the 2x6.
Right, Gordy. What that is, that's a fan box. And the reason that we put fan boxes, most bedrooms will have fans going, and if we don't use a fan box such as that, you'll see that it's stapled to the ceiling joist. If we don't use a fan box such as that, the fan, once it gets going, will wobble pretty bad. So we don't want that to happen, so we use these fan boxes.
All right.
Over here, Calvin, is a smoke detector. That's what the rough end of the smoke detector is. And again, as I was saying earlier with codes, each bedroom requires, with the new codes, a smoke detector. And what is it, Norm? One of those has to be a carbon monoxide?
yes, on the first floor.
One of them on the first floor has to be a carbon monoxide.
One has to be in every bedroom, and one in every hallway, and also one in the basement. And they're all tied together. If there's smoke in this bedroom, they all go off.
They're all tied together.
I just want to walk over here for a second. Norm, how long have you been with this outfit?
Since day one.
Day one. Let me see. That was about 1906, wasn't it?
Oh, goodness me. Norm, I'll let Norm tell you that.
What year?
Well, I started with his father-in-law in 72.
72? Wow. That's amazing. You're going to keep doing it till you get it right? Is that it?
Well, I'm still learning.
We said before when we were standing outside how the codes change so often. I don't know how you keep up with it.
Well, I get a lot of magazines, and you read it, get the codes out of that. And I also have a code book. But the inspector keeps us up to date on it. Rick Sowell,
Oh, yes.
I don't know if you know him.
Yep.
Yep.
So he checks in, he has to check in every now and again, or how often do they come up here?
Okay, he comes up and checks the service as we get it hooked up for the panel, and then he comes up and checks the house when we get it roughed in. And he comes again before people move in and when everything's done.
About how long does it take you to wire a house like this?
House like this, probably 35, 40 hours.
Come on. Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
He's an amazing guy since 19...
And there's a lot of wire in the house.
Oh, I guess it is, considering...
Thousands of feet.
Yeah.
We figured almost a mile in an average house. Mile
Isn't
wide.
that incredible? And everybody's got different tastes, what people want things in different places, and...
Yeah. Some, want security systems. We put in all the phone jacks, all the cable jacks, and fans, of course, in all the bathrooms. And we always put fan boxes in the bedrooms. Even if they don't use fans, someday they might.
It certainly makes it easier once they get installed. I've tried to do some of those retrofit fan jobs. I can't even build a doghouse, so you know how that all
It's
turned
illegal
out.
to put them on the plastic,
Yeah,
regular box.
yeah, that's crazy. Well, this is wonderful. What are you going to do for us? What are you going to do now?
I was just stapling this wire here. I got to get to that box.
All right, we'll back out of your way. I hate to interrupt the man at work.
Around the corner there, Gordy, Calvin, you'll see with your camera, this is what we use, this little paper right here. This is what we used, as I said, Kyle came and met with the people on Thursday of last week and got this information, and he on his computer lays it all out for Norm and Mike. Therefore, we do put it in the places that the clients have asked us to put it in. So this is what this is. That's why Norm has this here to point out the different locations of cable TV and telephone jacks, dimmer switches, and those kind of things. That's what this is.
So we got, how many bedrooms have we got up
This
here?
is a 4-bedroom, Gordy.
Oh.
4-bedroom, 2-bath up, 1.5 bath down. I wanted to point out a couple things with the new windows these
Sure.
days. I know a lot of the older houses have wood windows.
Sure.
The new concept of the new homes that we're building have vinyl windows. A lot of positive feedback coming out of these vinyl windows. People are very happy with them. One option is they have double locks, so those cold wintry nights, 20 below zero, wind blowing, the 2 locks will keep the wind out nicely. Another feature, if you have children on the second level, these little tips come out, and it keeps the child from being able to open that window all the way.
Wonderful idea. I've never seen that before.
In areas unlike the North Country, it keeps the villains out, but there are no villains in the North
Of
Country.
course
But that would also work the same way for
Just
people.
a stray bear up here once in a while, you know?
That's all.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And then these little fingertips ask the window to be pulled in for easy cleaning. Both that level and the upper level does the same thing. Not to pick on the women, but in my house, the women do the windows, so my wife really likes these a lot, but that is a nice feature.
That's great.
Also notice that the grills are in the middle of the window, so they don't have to come out to clean them, which is another nice feature. And in case you hit a stray golf ball, Gordy, if anybody ever...
I had lots of those.
If you wanted to take this window out and replace it, it's as simple as that. Where years ago, and I used to do this job, I would literally spend 3 or 4 hours at a house just getting one window out. Now I can literally do it in seconds, which is very nice. I do want to point out that it's important, I think that we point out that we partner with one supply company called Ward Lumber. Jay Ward and his team, his staff are very good to work with. We've worked with them now for 7 years. When I say we partner with them, we find that when you work with one supplier, when you're doing as many homes as we are, it's easier. They know our system, we know their system. We actually have 2-way radios that we can talk back and forth with them throughout the day. So I do want to point out that they're doing a good job for us, and these are the whole house actually, most of the house I should say, we get from the Ward Lumber Company.
Those are neat windows. I like that idea. That's
Yeah,
terrific.
they are great. We're very happy with them. They are, by the way, low E, which in the summertime it keeps the sun out, and in the wintertime it allows the sun to come in. It's a scientific way that I haven't figured that out yet, but that's how they work. It's quite nice.
But technical, like all the products you buy in stores, the technical information on the energy performance is right on
Read the small
everything.
print, right?
Yeah, the small print, and it tells you all about what they do.
Yes.
That's great. But things do change over the years,
Oh,
don't
they certainly do. Another point, Calvin, we can point out is in the attic area that we have here, this house. And different houses call for different structures. This house has what we call rafters. The rafters are 2x10s. What you're pointing at now, Calvin, is the ridge board that runs down through the center. That's a piece of 2x12. These are all 16 inches on center. Some houses, because of the span, will call for trusses. Trusses are made in a factory. They're made at Ward Lumber. They build them there, send them on a truck down to us, and then we place them on the roof with a crane. In this case, we have rafters, and we have made these rafters right here on site. So there are 2 different types of roofs when it comes to houses. This is rafters versus trusses.
Really fascinating to get the story from the inside out. After the sheetrock's on, we couldn't be doing this.
No, not quite so easily, although once in a while we do have to take some sheetrock off, and that's where Mike Fuller and Charlie Robinson come in handy, because that is the nice thing about sheetrock. If you have to take it off, it's pretty easily fixed without anybody knowing. I mean, we tell them if we had to take some off, but that is one thing about drywall. It's easy to fix. But you're right, it's so much easier to do it now without the sheetrock and the insulation in the way.
Now, let me ask you this question. When somebody decided to build a house here, did
Yes.
you decide that this was going to be a 4-bedroom house, or was this the...
Absolutely not. That's where part of my job is. I meet with the clients and I find out their needs. Today with the internet so readily available for people, a lot of people will come in the office and have an idea of what they want for a home. Actually, Kyle Sweener, who does our designing for us, amongst a lot of other things, he designs houses for us now. So he meets with the people after I get the idea what they're looking for, and then we design. This house is actually designed by Lee Custom Homes ourselves. There's no architect involved. We do our own designing. So these people have 3 children. They range from, let's see, 2 years old. The oldest is 8 years old. So they thought the best thing was a 4-bedroom. But I'll say 90% of the people that come in these days, Gordy, don't have exact plans. We help them along with that process, which we find it to be fun. We call it, we give birth to the houses, which means right from the beginning to the completion of it. So it's actually, as I said earlier, very, very rewarding. I don't think there's anything I could be doing that I enjoy more.
You know, why would you want to do something, plan your life's work around something you hated? We know a lot of
Exactly.
people who do jobs that are really arduous and disappointing and discouraging, but when you can do something you really get passionate about.
Well, that's what's, you see a guy like Norm who obviously loves the business that he's doing right now. He's been doing it for, I don't know how long, Norm. Are you going to tell him how long you've been doing it? I guess that's not going to be known.
Well, we
but,
know when he started here anyway.
that's what's unique about our company is that as you'll see today, you'll see the people really enjoying what they're doing. And it makes it nice for Lori and I to see that. Lloyd Drowlett, for example, been doing trimming for the last 30 years, been with us for 9 years now, and he loves the trim work. And you'll see that true with everyone that you see out on the site today. They enjoy what they're doing, even though it might get. I guess one thing about this business, it's never the same thing every day. It's not like standing at a booth taking tickets. It's something different every day. And of course, you meet the clients. They're all different and interesting people. It is very rewarding for all of us, I think.
And the better you build a house, the more satisfied customers are going to be, and that certainly takes a little bit of the stress away, right?
Yes, it does, actually, Gordon. I'm proud to say that 85% of our business is referrals from other people. As a matter of fact, the people we're building this house for, Tim and Gina Bond, Gina's sister, Jackie, we built a house, actually, twin sister. I mean, they look so much alike when they come in the office, I have to find out which one that it is. We built a house for her and her husband about 4 years ago. So we do get a lot of referral work, which, as I said, I'm proud to say. That makes it very nice. It makes it easier.
That's great. All right. What's next?
Well, I think we should go down and see. I think we're just about ready to stand a wall up at a house that we're framing. We should go look at that.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Well, we didn't move very far down the road, did we?
Not very far, about 1/8 of a mile.
So what do we got here?
Okay, here we have, Gordy, the house we just came from, as we talked about, is actually a custom house we're building for people. This house is a spec house, which means Lori and I will own it until we sell it. So we'll build it to our specs, we'll build it to what we think people will want, and we'll sell it after that, after it's completed. As we said earlier, we do 25 houses. Out of the 25, 20 of them are customs and 5 are spec houses. This is one of the spec houses. What we're seeing is just the beginning stages of the framing detail. The boys have just put the floor on and put the 3/4 inch OSB in place. What you see over here on the deck is some window headers. That means that those will go over the top of where the windows go. The hole that you see in the middle has been planned out to be where the basement, where the stairs go down to the basement.
Oh, yeah.
That's what that is. Actually, over here behind Gordy is a little mud room, so you walk from the garage directly into a mud room. We find a lot of people are in need of that rather than walking right into the kitchen when you're bringing your groceries in. And, of course, the little bit of snow that we get here in the North Country. People
Every now and again.
Every now and again, the people are able to take their boots off in this area. Behind you, Calvin, over here, you see the tub shower units. That's the fiberglass units that we get from Hulbert Brothers, and they will go into place shortly. They have to go in the beginning of the process so that we can frame around them. They're impossible to get into a house once all the framing is up, like what we saw up at the other house. We're standing in that 24 by 24 garage. And again, when we spec houses, we find over the last 400 homes that we've built, we found that people are into bigger garages because their vehicles are a little bigger these days, or they have more toys these days, four-wheelers, snow blowers, bicycles, etc. Some cases motorcycles. So we build a minimum. Some garages that we build are 20 by 20, but we find these 24 by 24 garages. You can get 2 cars in and still have room
Plus
for.
you got all the junk I get. I had my garage built for 15 years before I could get 2 vehicles in it.
Is that right?
Finally, I made just enough space for my truck.
I see. Well,
I
you
would-
must have had an outbuilding somewhere. You must have built a building.
I would
outside.
love to have had a 24 by 30 garage. That would have been nice.
Well, we're building a home right now. We're going to be going to shortly. We're going to see a 24 by 38 garage.
Wow, that would be perfect.
That would be perfect.
I could move my chair and TV out there.
Well, I think the gentleman we're building it for, Stan, has got himself a little shop upstairs.
does?
He's planning on that, I believe,
Okay.
by the looks of things.
24 by 24 is ideal.
Yeah, we find that's good size. As you can see, the site has been, the basement's been put in, the backfilling has been done. We find if we do the backfilling before the framing people get here, that it's much easier to do the work around the basement and around the framing detail. Piled up over here is the material that will be going into the house shortly. As a matter of fact, if you drove by, what is the date today, the 29th?
Yep.
If you drove by here about the 10th of August, you'd see the complete structure. And this is going to be a 1.5-story, Cape Cod style, 2 very large bedrooms on the upper level, 1 master bedroom on the lower level. And why Lori and I have done that is we find buyers in the younger ages that don't need the upstairs. They just use the downstairs for now in the master bedroom. Or in the other case, we find buyers that are looking for, they have sold their huge farmhouses, and they're looking for retired people that are looking for a master bedroom downstairs and not have to travel up and down the stairs. However, they have the bedrooms upstairs for future if the sons or daughters come along and hang with them for a few times for vacations, etc.
Do you do all poured basements, or do you build on slabs sometimes, or
Well,
what's?
that's interesting you asked that, Gordy. When I first got into this business, when Lori and I first got into this business in '86, we did more block walls. We found that there's a lack of masons in the North Country. A lot of the masons are finding there's more money in stone chimneys and stone fireplaces, and a lot of those masons are doing that. So from 92, 93 forward, we've done all 8-inch poured concrete walls. I think it's a myth that it's stronger than block wall. If it's a good mason and does a good job with the block wall and pours the cores with solid concrete, it's just as strong. The blocks are as far as an 8-inch concrete. However, I think it's probably the average client will think that it will last longer. So we have been going with 8-inch walls since then, and it's been a success for us.
And you're always putting basements in, or do you sometimes use slab?
Again, interesting you say that. We have 2 homes this year so far that we're doing on slabs, and I find that the people that come up from, for example, in this case, Atlanta, Georgia, a Border Patrol agent, when I started talking to basements with these people, I was talking a totally different language to them. So they didn't want a basement, they wanted a slab. I do find that resale value won't be as good with a slab versus a basement. Of course, basements, as we well know, on a day like today, you could get down in a basement and it would be 60, 65 degrees, very comfortable in the basement. You could finish it off. It also gives you a lot of room for storage. But I will say 98% of our homes have full basements underneath them, 8-foot high basements.
Okay. So no question is a silly question? Is that what you're telling me?
Definitely not in this business. In fact, one of the homes we're going to go to shortly, we'll show you what a basement can do for you, because we have some finishing going on in that basement. Actually, there's a house over behind where Calvin is right now. We were asked to come back to the house after we constructed it, and the yellow one over there, Calvin, we were asked to do some work in that basement after they moved in. We actually made a family room for them. And in fact, if we went over there today, I bet you we'd find them down in there, because it does kind of give you an air-conditioned space on a day like today. It's comfortable. And then the other end of the spectrum, in the wintertime, they're very easy to heat. A very little amount of heat will be used in a basement because it's underground. So we're finding more and more people are actually using basements for finished areas. And I can see why, because they're nice and dry and it's comfortable in a basement. I guess the only thing you lack is natural light, but we put bigger windows in, which helps that as well.
Yeah. We're talking with Mark Allen of Lee Custom Homes 2 today on our little corner, and there's a lot more to see, so don't go away.
That's where the people from Sunmount are.
We're talking with Mark Allen at Lee Custom Homes 2 on a beautiful sunshiny day, the 29th day of July 2003, and we've learned an awful lot about house building since we started our program a couple hours ago. You've taken me for a ride in a very familiar place at Beartown, where I learned to ski and so many other
Did you
people
really?
did. Sure. So this is the Beartown Road, not quite up to the ski area,
Right.
but this subdivision is called...
This is called Hidden Hills. This is a subdivision that Lori and I bought just about last year. I guess it was last November. And there's 140 acres. There'll be a total of 61 homes when we're completed. The lot sizes will be anywhere from an acre, which we're on now, and some of the lots up in the back will be larger. The average lot will be an acre and a half, and the bigger ones will be 5 acres.
For people who move here from a big city down south or somewhere out west, this is heaven. This is paradise.
Yeah.
You and I, it's our backyards, but this is paradise.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I was up here on this site Saturday showing this house to some people from Rhode Island, and they said, okay, Mark, how many homes are you going to build between this one and that one? And I said, this is it. Nothing in between, just trees, just deer, trees, and maybe a little bit of wildlife. But
Just
they were
far
amazing.
enough so if you holler, hi neighbor, at the top of your lungs, they can hear you.
Yes,
Isn't
you'd
that
have,
great?
you'd have to yell very loud, you're right.
All right, so what's going on this site?
What's going on this site? Let's see, what we're going to be seeing, this house is in the stage. We have it totally framed, as you can see. Lonnie and Billy are working on the siding on the house. That's going on at this point. Inside, Norm and Mike have already came and left. They've done their electrical. Phil and Rick have done their heating and their plumbing on the inside. Kenny Fassett was here yesterday, and David Jubert, another one of our project managers, was here this morning inspecting the insulation. Kenny and his crew have insulated it. Now we're getting ready for, as you can see up in the top there, Calvin, I don't know where your camera is, but there's a window out right now. Very shortly, the Ward lumber truck will be coming in, and it will be passing a very large load of sheetrock through that window. That's why we've left that window out. As soon as the sheetrock gets in, then we put the window in. But we find that it's very difficult to carry 4-foot by 12-foot pieces of sheetrock, which are very heavy, up a flight of stairs. So we pass it through with a crane truck. And that's why we see that window open. So we're at the stages, Gordy, of getting ready to sheetrock, drywall, and then we'll be doing our taping. Calvin's pointing out right now the room over the top of the garage. We find those rooms to be very popular. There's a nickname for them. They're called frogs. Finished room over garage.
Oh, come on. Oh, I love it. So that's the frog room.
That's
huh?
the frog. Yes, and
Unbelievable.
that's perfect for. This home has this is one of our very popular plans. It's 3-bedroom on the main part of the house on the upper level, 2 full baths. We'll see in a moment. This room over the garage gives you a very possible large bedroom. Gives you mom and dad playroom, workout room, study. We have the washer dryer, which is located, and this is unusual, Gordy. The washer dryers in a lot of the new homes are on the upper level, because
I've never seen that before.
well, it's a great
Wow.
it's a great concept. Mom or dad doesn't have to travel up or down the stairs with all the clothes, or the children in some cases. So that gives a lot less traffic up and down the stairs. To be on the safe side, we put what's called a laundry tray underneath. We kind of patent that, I guess. We have Ahern sheet metal make us up a tray. The washer sits on top of that. There is a pipe that comes out from that in case the washer leaks. It would leak into the septic tank rather than on
great
top of your head
idea.
if you're making
Nobody
goulash.
else does this?
I'm not sure if the other builders do it or
I've
not.
certainly
I'm
never
not
heard
sure.
of it. I think that's a great idea.
Well, it's something that our plumbing department came with us with an idea. Actually, I can tell you a quick story, Gordy. Don and B. Parks, remember Mr. Parks? He was
yeah.
superintendent of schools. We built him a home in 1987, I believe it was. And actually, how I found out about this, B. Parks got on the phone one day and said, "Mark, my washer's leaking all over my kitchen floor." So I went to the plumbing department, which we have weekly we have staff meetings, and we get input from the people, and it's information that we need, of course, people out here working on the site. And one of our plumbers said, "Hey, let's make a tray. Let's go to Ahern Sheet Metals, have them make us a tray for this washer," and that alleviated the problem, which I'm glad to say.
What a wonderful idea. I can remember at least 10 occasions when I could have used such a thing in my house. All right, what do you say we go inside?
Okay,
and
let's
take a look
go
at it?
inside. That'd be
All
great.
right.
About this is
All right, we got the laundry tray. What is nice about this? That's what the sentence was. I
right.
had to show this because this is such a unique idea.
a simple little process, as we said earlier. What is it, Lori? $40, $39.60. Ahern Sheet Metal makes these up for us. As you can see, Any size washer, the jumbo washer these days, which they have available, will fit inside here. I'm holding on to the copper tube that comes out the bottom of it. From there, an inch pipe, an inch and a quarter pipe to be exact, wraps onto this, and that gets plumbed directly to the septic system. So as I said earlier, we don't get poor Mrs. Parks calling us up and saying, I've got water on my ceiling.
Especially if you're putting your washer on the top floor.
Right.
And, you know,
Yes, it
it's in
does
the
can be dangerous.
basement, it's a different story.
Then it can leak for a while,
Yeah.
but it does seem like most people will say, I'll let the washer leak for a while, and this will give you that option to do that.
What a great idea. I love it. All right, let's go inside. You mentioned how important insulating is. Talk about that for a minute.
Yes, Gordy, insulation is so important, especially here in the North Country where we have our, I think the last winter, one day it was 38 below zero, and the wind was blowing a little bit on top of that. We do find the insulating is so important with a house. We have people come through after the Kenny Fassett's crew, and I'm not taking anything away from him, but it's human error as possible, so we have David Joubert, as I said earlier, come through and check this out. Any little bit of insulation that's not in a spot, you'll know on those very cold mornings. You'll see some gray color sheetrock, and the frost will come through in that point. And of course, it's a very difficult process to fix that once the clients and the people are in the house. So we take very we go through a lot of process to make sure that this is done properly. There are also our new codes as of 03 in January that came about, where now we have to have R40 up in the attic area, rose prices by about $1,500 per house.
R40 now?
R40, state
Wow.
codes, yes.
Wow.
And in the walls, you'll notice the R21, where it says it there on the outside of that piece of insulation, where prior, well actually, Gordy, when I got into this business, you could do R13. It was
I know,
sufficient.
R13, R15, I can't
Right.
believe that. And now look at
Then it
R40.
went, then it went to R19 in the exterior walls, and now we're up to R21. I think everybody has their own opinion on that. You can, in my opinion, build a house too tight. I don't want it to go any further than this, because I think that will happen. Whereas the windows I was showing you earlier are very much airtight. The doors are airtight. I hope it doesn't go further than that, than higher than R40 and R21.
When you consider tearing some of the old houses down and see what they used for insulation, which was Zippo,
Yes,
newspapers,
right?
bricks,
Whatever they could find.
whatever they could get in.
Yes, that's amazing. We also have a renovation crew that goes out and renovates houses, and it is amazing what you do find in some of those walls. I also want to point out that around the basement, we also have to use what's called styrofoam insulation, which is R10, which does keep the basements a little warmer as well. So this part of the stage, I think insulation is taken lightly, and it shouldn't be taken lightly because it is so important. It will actually, in the long run, if a person lives in this house for 20 years, will actually save them money in the long run, and their heating bills will be less. And who knows where the heating prices are going to go? We've learned that, we've experienced that in the last 20 years. They'll be anywhere from $1 a gallon to not being able to get it. So the insulation is an important part of the house, which we don't take lightly.
What's the most important kind of heating that you put in your houses?
The most efficient, the most popular is a hot water boiler powered by fuel oil. We can show you that in the next house we go to. Powered by fuel oil. Zoning is important. Heating systems are getting very sophisticated these days. We find a lot of people are coming to us. Again, the internet is causing this, which is good. In-floor heating is getting very popular. It's sophisticated to the point where you can turn a switch that your master bathroom will get up to 76 degrees from 5 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the morning, and then cool back down to 60 until you need it again the next day. Then you walk down into the kitchen, and the kitchen is 72 degrees for 4 hours until everybody's out of the kitchen. And then in the living room, the kids come home at night at 4:30, and the living room temperature is at 70 degrees, whatever's comfortable. All done by in-floor heating, which is, as I said, very sophisticated. Unfortunately, expensive because of that. I would say 20% of our homes are in-floor heating, and I think it's one of those things that once you walk into a house with that in-floor heating, you're probably going to want it, if the numbers will work for you. We have been doing a lot of that, more so in the last 2 years, because again, what's happening is people that we build homes for are having parties and inviting people over, and they go over and they witness that and they experience that, and they want that in their home. But the standard operating procedure would be to put in a house like this, two-story, this house with the room over the garage finish is 2,200 square feet. We find the most standard way the most popular is 2 zones, 1 lower level with a thermostat, 1 upper level in the master suite, so mom and dad can control the heat in the upper level. In case the children are bad, they'll turn the heat down a little for them. Just kidding. And then the room over the garage, that has a separate zone. Due to the fact that we do heat our garages in a situation like this. Whenever we have heat in our room over the garage, we put a Modine heater in the garage, which is a little, about an 11 by 12 piece of metal that the water passes through it. It gets to a certain temperature and it blows a fan on, which keeps the garage warm. That's a popular item these days. Nobody wants to get out in their car when it's 20 below zero. They want to get out in a 50-degree car.
Sure thing.
So we have had some requests for heating the garages as well. But hot water boiler. Now, some of the subdivisions that we have available, for example, Northwood Estates, there's natural gas running through there, just recent, last 3 years. Most of the people that we build for in those areas do run with natural gas, and that's how the boilers are heated. That's how your stove, your cooking stove, is used. That's how your dryer is heated with natural gas. And also, we're putting a lot of gas fireplaces in house. You saw that in my model home,
sure.
in our model home, I should say, in my office, and that's also done with natural gas. So the natural gas is going to be a thing of the future here in the North Country, I believe.
You never know what the prices are going to be for any kind of fuel sources. The prices for electricity go up and down with
Yes.
so many changes over the last couple of years in the way electricity is disseminated here in the North Country, and fuel oil prices. You don't really know where to go, so you take a shot at it and try to
Yes.
study the market and see what to do.
Well, the neat thing, Gordy, is that these boilers, which you're going to see in a moment, you're going to be amazed at the size of these boilers. They're small, but
Yes.
they do the work. They're very easily changed from fuel oil to LP, from LP to natural. So for about $300, you can change a boiler from fuel oil to natural gas or to LP gas quite easily.
That's terrific.
Yeah,
All
that does
right.
make it nicer.
What's next?
Well, I want to show you the frog.
Okay, I want to see the frog. I can't wait. So this is a frog. Entirely different definition than I'm used to. I like it.
Well, what's unique about these rooms over the garage as frogs is that you can choose to finish them at this point, or save $3,000 to $4,000, actually $3,000 to $5,000, and only frame it like we've done here, and not finish it. And that gives you the option, if your family gets larger, or if somebody, mom or dad, comes home and stays with you, or whatever the case is, you can finish this off inexpensively and have a room over the garage. And it's also good for resale. If somebody wants a 4-bedroom house, there's one here for that. It's interesting with the last homes that we built in the past, what these are used for. I've been to houses often where the kids have a little family room up here, which is convenient. I've seen it where mom has her little office up here. Dad has a workout room up here. I saw at one point where a gentleman was into making guns, and he had a little spare room up here for that. So it is unique to see the different possibilities of the frogs.
Yeah, great idea. I was looking at those vents that you had there. Let's talk about them.
Well, again, I'll go back to as we said earlier, the cross bridging, an inexpensive option. A box of these proper vents, about $20. If these proper vents aren't put in properly, and that is with the cups working, the nails going through here, and this being, I don't know if Calvin can see this, but they have to go in position like this. What this does, allows air to run up through here from the open soffits and then run up into the attic. If you see at the top here, we've got a ridge vent. Hot days like today, without the air passing through here and going up into the proper vent, the house would be very hot. On cold winter days, the opposite would happen, and there'd be a lot of frost up in the attic areas if these proper vents weren't in place. So again, small items that we've learned in the past that it does pay to put the small things in, and it does pay to do these items that will actually cost a lot of money in the long run, because you'll get calls from people and you'll wonder what you didn't do right. So these things are important.
Would that prevent ice on the eaves in the wintertime?
Yes, that does do that. That's very correct. Exactly, Gordon. It prevents. There's another product called ice and water barrier. It's actually made here in Plattsburgh. Nord Batumi makes it right here in Plattsburgh, right down on Hammond Lane. That product and this product working together will help alleviate ice damming like what you're talking about. But that's a good point, Gordon. This does allow that not to happen.
All right, let's talk about the code, windows and codes. You mentioned 5-foot windows.
It's funny you say that, Gordy. Town of Beekmantown, actually the home that we just finished up the street here, Doug and Jennifer's house, and the house down the way, we send Kyle to all these different classes that they have, the state has, and it all depends on how you read these codes. This is a challenge in the building business. Not to pick on anybody, because I respect the building inspectors greatly. I really do. I know their jobs. I know what they have to do, and I respect that. What we had to do with those two houses, and you said earlier, do you make mistakes? Absolutely. We found that the code, and it depends on how you read the code, is set up so you have to have a window with at least, I don't know exactly this, and I should know what Kyle would know, 4.9 square feet of opening so a person can get out through it. So we actually are going to show you in a moment that we're taking a window out of a house and we're putting a new window in, a longer window in. And again, it's one of these things, it's brand new. As of January 03, I would say, without exaggerating, there's about a 3-inch book that came out in January 3 of just new codes.
Oh, man.
And now we'll have the next year to find what building inspector will use those codes and put them into effect. Some do and some don't, and that's the hard part. That's the challenge. And again, I'm not taking away from the building inspectors, because they have their job and I respect them. But it's the hard part to know which code that you're going to use in your town. Now we know in this town we're going to put, as you see here, the longer windows in the upper level. We'll be putting them in all of our second-story houses, and there will be no question at that point. We won't be going back and changing it.
I like the design of this house. This is a pretty popular design.
This is one of our most popular designs without the frog. It's a 30 by 32 house, which creates about 1,920 square feet. We find that's the average size for the North Country people. They have maybe 2 children, possibly 3. If they have the 3rd child, then they probably will be finishing this room over the garage. I would say, Gordy, out of the 25 homes to 30 homes we build a year, we probably build about 10 of these each year. These are very popular. They have the country porch on it. Saturday evening you can go out there and have some shortbread or whatever you choose,
I love
which is
the porch.
nice. Yeah, it's a nice country look with the porch in the front of it.
For a while, porches were passé. Of course, I was brought up with porches, and I know almost every house within 50 miles of here that has a nice porch, because Kay and I drive by and enjoy them.
Sure.
And now they're coming back, and people are retrofitting porches on the houses.
Well, it's interesting you say that, Gordy. The house we're going to go to, there is exactly 51 feet of porch on that house, and it does really add to the looks of the house. You know, they're handsome from the street. They're curb appeal when you put a porch in a house. Unfortunately, there's hidden cost in porches that you don't see. There's sonotubes that go in the ground if you put them in right. If you put the porches in right, you have to put 12-inch sonotubes in. So there's a lot of work to a porch that's hidden. It's $28.50 a square foot to do a porch properly, and you know, some people don't have that extra money to put the porch on. So it is this house does give you the porch, and it does give you the 2 full bathrooms upstairs. I can remember when I was a young guy getting ready for school, we'd share all the bathrooms. My sister, because she was older, would go in first, and I was second in age. I'd go in second. But now with the new concept, and that's one thing I want to point out, that I don't think the children these days know how well they've got it.
Oh, no.
When they move into one of these
Ask my
homes.
big kids what it was like when they were young.
Yeah. How many did you have, Gordy?
We had lots. We actually raised 15 kids, so
Right.
with one bathroom most of the time.
Right. Well, if we built the house for you when you were growing, Gordy, we would have had a lot of bedrooms in it, a lot of bathrooms. But I do find 2.5 baths is the most popular, although we're getting into 3.5 baths now. We're getting 3 bathrooms upstairs and a half bath down, or 2 up, 1 full down. I also find the concept for putting bedrooms on the lower level, and I think a lot of it has to do with the families that are coming, mom or dad, they're not going to the county homes as much anymore, they're coming home. And a lot of people we're building for these days have that in their mind. I'm going to build this house so just in case mom or dad or mother-in-law or father-in-law, whatever the case is, they can come back and live with me. They can live with our family again. And I think that's nice to see that going on more. A lot of our plans are actually calling for that. In fact, one of the houses we're going to be going to shortly has that option to put a master bedroom upstairs or downstairs. And again, it's because people want them to come back home, because that's basically where they came from. I think that family I don't know if it had to do with the mess in September 11th or what, but we are finding more and more people are having the possibility of that home having mom and dad.
All right, we got a siding job going on here, boy. Look at them swinging the hammers.
They're going to town, Gordy. Here we have kind of a family affair. We have Lonnie Wells, who's holding the tape there now, and then his brother-in-law Mike, and his father-in-law Billy. So we've got a family affair here going. They've been doing siding for us for quite some time now. They do a very nice job, and we're happy to say that they're along with us.
What a difference it made in building houses with the advent of vinyl siding, didn't it?
Oh my goodness, yes. That is one thing that we find. The vinyl siding is very popular. No paintbrushes necessary.
Oh gosh.
No need to replace any rotted boards or anything like that. Vinyl siding is one of the most popular sidings that we do put on. Up in the Lake Placid region, the Adirondack Park Agency doesn't allow vinyl siding, so there we're putting cedar and pine on.
Didn't know that either.
No, they don't allow it.
Oh.
There is a good imitation. We use Georgia Pacific siding from Ward Lumber, and we have found that there's a good imitation cedar look vinyl, but people, let's put it this way, the people like it, but the Adirondack Park Agency hasn't accepted it yet. So we're working with cedar and pine in those
You
areas.
got to do a little lobbying besides everything else, right?
That's been done. Yeah.
All right. What do we see next door here?
Well, here's what's going on next door, Gordy. Uniquely, the back of the house, the people chose us to put a, we call it an Adirondack room, which is a screen porch, which you find yourself out in
I love it.
very often.
Love it.
Of course, in the spring of the year, you can't wait to get outside after the long winters, and you, of course, have black flies and some mosquitoes. But with this screening effect, which you'll see going on in the next week, people can get outside and get the fresh air. Something about that April, May, spring feeling that you want to get outside. This allows the people to do that and not get torn up by the bugs.
I see the new window you're putting in over there, too.
Yes.
The one you mentioned.
Well, you asked earlier,
Yeah.
Gordy, do we make mistakes?
Yeah.
And honestly, yes, we do make mistakes. That is a situation where we have to have the longer window on the upper level. We put a 4-foot 2-inch window in there, and the codes require a 5-foot 2-inch window. And as a matter of fact, I met with the clients last Saturday and told them what we were going to do, so there was no surprise of any way at all. And I said, we're going to cut the side of your house out. We're going to put a new window in for you, and they totally understood. So that's what we're doing right now. We're going to have this home ready, let's see, for probably hard to believe, but the moving van will be here next Monday, a week
Come
from
on.
yesterday. Yes, honestly.
Oh,
Yes,
wow.
yes. Uh-huh.
You may have to work 24-hour shifts the last couple of days.
No, we've got it. David
You got
Juber,
a
who does a great job. He runs the show from the sheetrocking to the end, and he'll have it all together. I asked him this morning, Dave, how we doing with the schedule, and he said we're doing fine. So Friday afternoon we'll be cleaning and ready for a moving van Monday morning.
Yeah, he'll be in Mass Sunday morning at 7:30 at St. Alexander's,
Yeah.
where this
Yes, he
father
will be there.
is every week.
He will be there.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, this is great.
What you see in the backyard there, Calvin, we're putting the septic system in. That's one thing that we found in the past. We're benefiting ourselves. We bought our own dozer, we bought our own excavator, and we bought our own trucks and backhoes. Therefore, we can, with our own employees, we can schedule the work as we need to, and we're not waiting for anybody that way. So what we're doing in the backyard is we're putting a septic system in. Now that's all done with scheduling. We have tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock the Department of Health coming to check it out, make sure it's put in properly. As soon as they come, the dozer will go into operation, and we will be backfilling that area. Along with that, we'll have a big red truck come through, and we'll be bringing sand in, and we'll be bringing the backyard up with grade. After we put the septic system in, we'll be putting material over the top of it. Then the next step after that, and the people have hired us just recently to do this for them, is the topsoil work. Topsoil is a job that I don't really like getting involved with, but these folks have been super nice people, Stan and Marion Spencer. I always find that people don't remember you for the nice home you built them, they remember you for the spot of lawn that didn't grow. So I choose not to put topsoil in for all clients, and there's no reason other than we're good at building homes. We're not, and this might sound the wrong way, but we don't have the right equipment and the right technology to do topsoil. But in this case, it's a small lawn. We'll be able to do topsoil for them. We do sell topsoil. I should have pointed that out. That subdivision that we first came from, Breezy Meadow, as you can see that big open meadow, rather than to have that topsoil just go to rot, we pile it, we We sift it, and some people call it screen it, and then we sell it on the market. Actually, we sell a lot of it to Luck Brothers, Murnane Builders, and some of the other builders in town. We sell a lot of our topsoil to. So that gives us some job in the spring of the year, some jobs in the spring of the year to do to sift and screen this topsoil, and it also is somewhat lucrative to be able to sell it.
You got to be thinking all the time, don't you?
Well,
You
yes,
gotta
we
get
do
up early
actually.
in this business to stay ahead of the competition.
That's
That's
correct.
great. Also, what's next?
Well, I'd like to bring you inside to show you a whole lot of people doing different jobs in a friendly atmosphere. Nobody will believe it with as many people working, but I'd say that we're going to probably go over and visit 12 people today, and you'll see the production. I think you'll be amazed, Gordy.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay.
All right, we walked next door through the brambles.
Yes, we did. We got across the blackberry bushes.
All right, what's going on in the backyard here?
Well, of course, with any home, you have to have a disposal system or a water disposal system. What the boys are doing, Nate Barton and Dale Fabra, what they're doing is they're putting in a septic system, leach lines for the septic system. Before you do a subdivision, as we saw earlier in the day, we were doing deep holes and perk tests, and that tells us how many feet of leach line we have to put in for each house. These soils in Hidden Hills are very gravelly, which is excellent for the developer. We have to put 5 55-foot trenches in. Behind the machine, I don't know if Calvin can see it, behind the machine, there it is off to the right over where Todd Ransom's working. There's a 1,000-gallon concrete tank. So the water comes into that, the solids go to that point, and then the gray water from there goes over to a distribution box, which is behind the machine, and then from there it flows out in liquid form into these leach lines. These are all inspected by a Department of Health employee. In fact, it's scheduled for tomorrow morning about 9 o'clock to come up and look at this to make sure it's done properly, and as soon as that's done, then we backfill. What you see here is number 2 stone, which we purchased out of Plattsburgh Quarries, which I noticed you guys did a show on, which was
Oh yeah, that was fun.
very informational. The number 2 stone goes in the trenches. Around the stone is the white pipe that you see up against the garage with little holes in it. Again, there's detail to this. The holes have to be down so that the water penetrates through the holes. Septic systems work 2 ways. They percolate and they dissipate. 50-50 is the way it's designed. Most septic systems, actually all septic systems, can't go in the ground much deeper than what we have it. They'll go down. You can go down into the ground 20 inches, but no more than that. So it's actually a whole separate process, a septic system business when it comes to houses, but it's something, of course, that they have to have. These lots up here all get wells. The wells have to be 100 feet from the septic system, another important factor in what they'll be coming and inspecting tomorrow. And of course, they'll inspect the size of the tank. If it's a 3-bedroom home, you get a 1,000-gallon tank. If it's a 4-bedroom home, you get a 1,250-gallon tank. If it's more than 4 bedrooms, then you get a 1,500-gallon tank. Or you can do it in unison. You can put 2 1,000-gallon tanks in. And again, it takes a lot of, we send our people to school for these things to learn proper methods. The county puts on classes for us, which is nice of them. So it's a process. I mean, we're all in this together, the North Country people. Even though they work for the Department of Health, they work with us on these things. So it's interesting, and that's what we're doing at this point. If you come August 10th, you'll see some. I don't want to exaggerate. August 15th, you'll see grass growing here.
Oh, okay. I believe you. I couldn't get it growing that fast in my yard, especially this year with the crazy grubs around the North Country. People lost a lot of their yards.
Well, the quick method, of course, is putting rolled sod down from Canada, I should say. But we have found that there's a hydro seeding that you can do that gives you, I won't say instant, but darn close to instant grass.
No kidding.
Yeah, works
Isn't
well.
that amazing? All right, are we going inside?
I'd like to go inside, Glenn.
All right, let's do it.
The size of the garages these days.
Everybody's dream to have a 3-stall garage.
Well, Gordy,
Wow.
not only does this house have a 3-car garage, it's also got a workshop up over the top of it, which we could show you in a moment. Now that you can't get to from the house, so it's not considered a frog. It's considered a workshop for actually the gentleman that's going to live here, Stan Spencer, is going to have a workshop up there when he retires. That's his plans. This garage, Gordy, is 28 by 36, full 3-car. As you can see, you can fit 2 vehicles very easily, probably even 3. And behind us here, Calvin, the people last Saturday brought the four-wheeler, so you can see there's room for that as well. We are finding more and more popular to be able to get from the garage into the basement. And that's what these stairs are around the back corner. There's a set of stairs there that will get you right down into the basement, which I do want to show you this basement because it's quite unique because of the size of it. The options for garages these days is you can just leave them studded. However, the codes require us to put fire code sheetrock between the house and the garage in case something started on fire out here. It's what's called 3/4 hour fire rated sheetrock. That is a code. However, the rest of the garage can be regular. In this case, we're using OSB. The idea here is that Stan Spencer will be able to nail things onto the wall out here like rakes and shovels and not destroy the sheetrock. So we put what's called OSB, which is oriented strand board, on the outside wall, so it's something solid to be able to nail to. The center, which we can't see right now under the 2x4s, has a drain so that he can wash vehicles out here if he chose to. The water will then, of course, dissipate into the drain and then end up out in the backyard, which is nice. Garage door openers, there's 3 of those in this house. The garage doors these days, Gordy, are insulated much more than they ever used to be. They're actually R16, which is a
No
positive.
kidding.
Oh yeah,
Wow.
That's not a code, but it's something we go along with our standard operating procedure.
Great idea.
We do put receptacles in the ceiling just in case people don't use garage door openers from the beginning. They can put them in after if they choose to. We also put receptacles in our garages because everybody is going to be using them probably for a workshop in the future. But we do find that garages these days, as you said earlier, are getting larger and larger.
Oh, boy. This part of the building itself is as large as many small
As big
homes.
as some houses, you're
Yeah.
right. When my wife and I, actually my father-in-law and mother-in-law, built us a house at cost, and it was about the size of this garage. A little larger.
I love it. Okay,
You can go down to the basement.
let's do it.
Small to have a 4-inch lip, and that's in case, well, 2 reasons. In case the car leaked fuel, it wouldn't go down into the basement, number 1. Reason number 2, carbon monoxide is heavier than air. It drops to the floor. So the carbon monoxide wouldn't go down to the basement that way.
Great idea.
What Phil and Rick are doing are just doing the finish on the plumbing. We saw earlier the rough-in stages. Now we're tying all the plastic lines, the PVC lines, and the copper to the septic system, which goes out right, where is that going to go out? Right over there, Calvin. So if we were to follow that line out, that's where that 1,000-gallon tank is. So that's what the boys are doing now. Now that the tank is in, they can follow all of their plastic out to that septic tank. Norm and Mike, who we saw at the last house, will be coming here tomorrow, and you can see the box that's open there. They'll be doing their finishing touches on the boxes. We have Rick Soul coming here Thursday to do his inspection on the final part of it. So as you can see, it's all got to happen within so many days and so many hours, or the project won't come to a completion. In this case, a small item, but again, something that we ask people. You can see all the copper pipes are buried in the ceiling. The reason for that is if somebody wants to finish this basement off down here, there's nothing sticking way down low for that reason. So that's something we do ask people. We get into the detail before we start the houses. The boilers, I think I want to talk a little bit about boilers. Off to the right is a fuel oil storage tank. Of course, that wouldn't be needed if we do natural gas or if we do LP gas. And what I hear a lot from the clients is, wow, that boiler is so small. However, it's like the new engines in the vehicles. They're 4 cylinders and 6 cylinders, like you said in your pickup earlier. It'll get you down the road and haul your trailer, even though you used to have a big V8 to do that. Same true with these boilers. They're smaller, they're much more efficient. Up at the top, Calvin, we see what's called the power venter. The power venter, the old style furnace had a chimney. It took space up out of the house, is what it did. You could put a linen closet in there now, or you could put a pantry in there now where that space took up the chimney before. Also, you have a penetration through the roof. And we all know the amount of rain that we get here, it's not great to have a penetration through the roof. So power venters are what we use now. And what that does, it sucks the fumes out of the boiler and makes the boiler run more efficient. It's not pushing the fumes up 30 feet up into the chimney, up through the top. So drafts don't affect, and cold weather don't affect the performance of this boiler any longer. What that does is that comes on, it's delayed, it comes on 15 seconds before the boiler starts, and then it runs 30 seconds after the boiler goes off. So again, as you can see, there's so many concepts of this that has to be working properly so the phone doesn't ring at our office saying that it's not working properly. So as you can see, everybody has to be a professional when it comes to building houses these days. You can't get away with a half-done job. It's got to be done properly right from the beginning, and that's what I said earlier. It's proud to have the people that we do that know this project. I learned from them in several cases.
How many miles will these people travel and still expect to be able to call you? If you buy a car, you say, you know,
Well, you know what, Calvin? It's a hard answer. Because of the size of our company, if you do more than $5 million worth of business a year for 4 years in the past, you're able to get into what's called a home buyer's warranty program, and we have been able to do that. We're in a home buyer's warranty program. What we do for the people we build for, costs us about $400. We buy a home buyer's warranty for each party, for each client. That gives people a 10-year warranty on their houses. It protects us because if we have a problem, we turn it into our home buyer's warranty program, and they basically pay us to come back to do things. Because of the fact that we're in subdivisions and we drive by their house every day and we want them to wave with all 5 fingers, and we do a very good job about our warranty. You can check with the clients that we built for in the past. I mean, we certainly don't want to be maintenance people. That's not what we're building houses for. But we do have a very good warranty program, Calvin. It's 1 year on everything that could possibly happen in your house. Light bulb burns out, etc. In fact, we had a call this morning from some people down on Cumberland Head that we built for, Rob and Laura Collier, and they had a smoke detector that went defunct. And Norm went down this morning and put that in for them. So those are the small things that we do that really do pay off. But it is a 10-year warranty on anything structurally. Let's say the basement wall started cracking and falling apart, and we had windows that didn't close and didn't open properly, roof sagging. We have a 10-year warranty for that. As I said earlier, we have a well system up here in Hidden Hills, so that's the holding tank for the well in the corner. And because this house has a whirlpool and a place to get into and enjoy yourself in the evening or what have you, this thing on the left here is a storage tank. A normal boiler only puts out 3.2 gallons of hot water per minute. These new whirlpools they have, the faucets, when you turn those on, they're pulling out 8 gallons of hot water per minute. So a normal boiler can't keep up to that. So that's why we put in houses that we put whirlpools in hot tubs, we put these boiler mates, which creates enough hot water so you can turn your hot water on and not have to wait 10-15 minutes for your tub to fill up. So that's what this is. Over here in the corner is a sump hole. All of the houses that we build have sump holes along with sump pumps. The little hole that you see there on the left, up the wall, that will be in fact, Phil will be doing that today or tomorrow. He'll be putting a sump pump in, and then a plastic pipe that goes up and out through the wall, which will take any water that, if it does come into here in the spring of the year, it will bring it outside the house, so there's no water in the basement at all. And that's one thing that we take all kinds of precautionary methods when we do our homes. We put drainage tile around the outside perimeter of the footers. We put stone underneath the slabs. We put drain tile all around the perimeter as well, which does help out a lot when it comes to wet springs like we had this spring.
We have some interesting water tables.
Yes,
Imagine what it's like for me, right next to the Saranac River, and none of those things were put in when my house was built. So we've done a lot of retrofitting, and we still get wet.
Yes.
But it's nice to know that you've taken all these precautions.
Yes, we have. As we said earlier, the technology of the building process has come so far. Every year it comes far, and we try to get learn all the new technology and put them into our homes. We really do.
What a huge basement area down here.
Yes.
A multitude of possibilities. Huh?
Yes. As I said earlier, there's a lot of people that do finish basements off, and this is certainly a basement that you could finish off very easily. The posts that you see now, when we finish the basements off, we make a neat little rack out of it. We put 1x4 around that, and we make coat rack out of it, little pegs on it, so you can hang your coats and your hats and what have you in the basement area. So this is, as you can see, the temperature down here is so much more comfortable than outside today.
It's nice here.
It is very comfortable. So we do find a lot of people do finish their basements off. And this basement, Gordy, is 30 feet deep by 47 feet long, plus the sun room that we're going to see upstairs in a moment, and the utility room. That area is 12 by 20, so there is a lot of room down here to finish off.
All right, are we going to go upstairs?
We'd like to go upstairs, Gordon.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, we're in the kitchen. I expected lunch. No, I'm on a diet. Sorry
Oh,
about
well,
that.
we could get you some hamburgers, or
No.
that type of diet you're on. We can get you steaks or hamburgers,
Oh
Gordy.
boy, oh boy, oh boy,
No
oh boy.
bread.
Don't be talking food here. So this
Okay.
is going to be a nice sized kitchen.
Yes, this we're finding with the new homes, more and more kitchens are getting larger and larger. And again, I think it's because mom and dad want the kids to stay home. They don't want them out somewhere else eating. They want them to stay home. The concept here is kitchen and family room, all one big area. As you'll point out, Calvin, over in the corner is a gas burning style fireplace. And again, mom or dad, if they're in the kitchen cooking, they can view that fireplace while it's going on. We find that to be popular with the new homes. Open concept, like what we have here. As you can see, Gordy, the style of the kitchens have brought into the year 2000 plus, and that is stainless steel, double door, freezer on the bottom. It's easier when you're getting your cream in the morning for your coffee. You're not bending down anymore. You're getting your eye level with them, which is nice. Around the corner here at Calvin, the stainless steel double oven. In this case, Dad wants to cook a turkey for Thanksgiving. You can have that going on in there. And Mom's got brownies going on down here.
Yeah, I'll be back.
Which is...
I'll be off the diet by then.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's all right.
The new kitchens, they have places for microwaves, which is here. And quite uniquely, Calvin, behind you, this is going to be a cooktop. And if this was plugged in, if I hit that button right there, this pops up in the air, and that is the vent, the hood fan. That actually you can't pull it down into the basement and outside. Instead, it works all right through here through a filter, which is as I said, modern technology is certain here with kitchens. Dishwasher goes on the left. You'll see our temporary top that we have on there right now. That's one thing that we're getting more and more requests for, which is granite countertops.
Oh yes.
A lot of these trucks you see heading down the highway, these big flatbeds with these big rocks in the back, you wonder what they are. They're granite is what they are. And the granite company slices those up, and these people have chosen a granite countertop. Unfortunately, because granite takes quite a while to come in, people will be living here for a short time with a temporary sink. Then when the granite comes in, we'll come into their home and we'll put it in. So this is going to be a granite countertop, which is, as I said, getting more and more popular. They're very pretty. The little windows that you see in here, this is the dining room for this house. It has a neat little 45-degree angle bay area. As we said earlier, the porch wraps directly around this house. There's 50-some feet of porch. And then these little circle tops are getting popular. Actually, they're coming back. Back in the, I'll go back into the, actually 1800s, they had a lot of circle top windows in their houses, and now they're coming back. So that's what these are.
Very pretty. I like
They are neat. You get the little rosettes with them, and of course it takes a lot of pain to get these this trim to work out just right, and to have the arch trim. So what you have to do is you have to wet the wood, and bend it a little bit each day, and then finally it comes together. One thing we could do is we'll go up to the second level and we'll look down over the top of the family room, which is kind of nice. We call it our catwalk up there. We'll show you that in a moment.
All right. All right, we made it up a flight.
We made it up to the second story. Over in the bedroom on the garage side, we're watching Jerry Coron. As I said, we're getting into the finishing touches of this home. Jerry's stretching the carpet with a stretcher. We have to do that. You have to do that when you put carpet down, or you'll get some humps in the middle of it, and that's what Jerry's doing. He's stretching the carpet out to the edge of the walls and putting them under the registers for the heaters. In that room, we just completed that window. That's one of the windows that we had to replace. And again, we didn't put the carpet down until we got to that point. So again, I want to point out that David's doing such a great job coordinating all this so that the carpet isn't down first, and if it is, you'd put tarps down over the top of it. Down over the side, Calvin, I think Lloyd's still there. Down over the side is I want to point out, is Lloyd Drolette. Lloyd's been with us for 9 years now. I'm proud to say that he came on board. He's does the trim work in all the houses, and if you take a look at any of the joints, you'll see that he does some marvelous work. We're very proud to have him with us. On this style house, we have, as what we said, the catwalk that gets you in between from one bedroom to the other. This overlooks the great room. on the left there, that'll all be oak very shortly, that fireplace. And as Lori was pointing out earlier, up over the top of the excavator, when those leaves aren't on the trees, you've got a beautiful view of Lake Champlain there, which is going to be breathtaking here in about another 3 months. I hate to say that, 3 months, but 3 months already. And then
Right now, the hills are hidden.
the hills are hidden with leaves. That's right, they sure are, Gordy. The behind you there, Calvin, is a full bathroom, 5-foot tub shower. That's for the children. And this house, it's hard to believe, but there's no children going to be living in this house. Stan and Marion are about, I don't want to get in trouble here, I'd say they're mid-50s. They look a lot younger than that. Maybe they're younger, but they have no children that are going to be...
It's too late. You've already done it.
Already got myself in trouble. They are going to be living here. They have children, and of course the bedrooms are set up so if their children come back and visit them, they'll have that opportunity to stay up here. But the master suite in this plan is downstairs. Very nice master suite with a whirlpool, a double bowl vanity. That's another important option these days, where mom and dad could get ready at the same time. And
Yeah, for those of you who wondered why there was such an abrupt finish to that conversation, the battery died. So we got a brand new battery in, and we've moved miraculously through the miracle of modern television. We moved to another place. This is where you live.
well, this is where my wife and I call home. We just moved in here last April, and as you can see, we're doing some things ourselves. This is my therapy. I get out here on Sunday and do my own topsoil work and my own landscaping, and we have a lot of fun with this. As I said, it's kind of an unwind day.
Where is
Sunday.
this?
We're in Hilltop Estates. This is where my mother and father-in-law started the subdivision, Hilltop Estates. And you saw earlier where Leah's putting in some more lots in this area. We actually, Lee and Joyce built half of this subdivision, and Lori and I built the other half of it. So, as I was saying earlier, we end up being neighbors to our clients, which is unique. Just across the road at Mrs. Barker's house, which we built in 1990, Mrs. Barker had a party for some people, a barbecue out in the backyard, so we were able to go over and visit with her, she's a darling, Saturday. So it is nice to have neighbors, ex-clients. So as we said earlier, we have to take good care of people.
So what we're going to see here is a finished product.
Yeah, we can show you some things inside that shows you the total finish and everything. We'd love to do that. Come on in.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay, we've come inside this beautiful home, and we're just going to look around. Talk about anything you like here, Mark.
Well, we want to point out the fireplace, the stone fireplace that Tommy Malinak did for us. That's a unique story in itself. Mr. Malinak, Tommy's father, did work for my father-in-law, father and mother-in-law, Lee and Joyce Parati. So it's nice to see that second generation come about. And Tommy claims that he did an extra special job on this fireplace for Lori and I.
Looks extra special to me.
Well,
Nice.
we're real happy with it. It's one of those things where after the 100-hour work week that I normally will do, come in and sit down and enjoy that. It's one of those things that you see a different part of it each time you look at it. He claims that the center of it, right in the dead center of it, is what's called the eye of the storm. There's a rounded part around the center of that, and he pointed that out to me one day, and I said,
The eye of the storm, right there.
that's what he calls it, yeah. But in this part of the business, as far as the home builder building their own home, it's unique because you can sell your house after you live in it for 2 years, and you don't share any of the income with the government, and it's a legal process. So we end up in a bigger home because of that. This is our 6th home that we built ourselves, and soon to come, this will be for sale next spring, which will sell, and as we just left, we'll be going up to Hidden Hills. We've got some lots up there that we're actually, Mrs. Barker across the street is going to be coming up there with us, and we have our final resting place up there. We'll be sitting up on the top of the hill overlooking the lake.
This is such a neat home. How big is it?
Oh, goodness me, it's about 4,400 square feet, I guess. We have 4 bedrooms upstairs. We have the concept, as I was saying earlier, there's a bedroom downstairs with a full bath downstairs in case we had somebody that we wanted to have stay with us because handicapped and couldn't get up and down the stairs. We did do some upgrades in the house. We went with pine doors, 6-panel pine doors, 9-foot ceilings, which gives you that volume.
Oh, I love it.
Yes, that is a nice concept. We put a lot of hardwood floor in it. Lori designed the kitchen herself. She did a real good job with that. We put, of course, again, Tommy Malinak being available, we had him do some brick on the outside for us. We did an open foyer here when you first come in with a pretty fancy oak stairway. We put some French doors in. Unfortunately, we don't get to fill this up with children because my wife and I don't have any children at this time. We have Onyx. She runs around here with us.
She looks like she owns the place. Get over here, Lori. You can't escape any longer. She's been escaping me for an hour and 45 minutes.
That's right.
Just one step behind or one step ahead. But now you're here. Thank you so much for allowing us to see what you folks do. We've enjoyed it tremendously.
Well, thank you for coming, Gordy. We appreciate it.
You know, I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation in the car down here because you told me you had an undergraduate degree in counseling.
Yes, sociology and criminal justice.
And as many of our viewers know, I work as a crime victims advocate for the last 6 years in the probation department. So who knows in the future?
We may work together.
Isn't that terrific? And then you got your master's degree in...
I completed the MALS program at Plattsburgh State in administration. I did that like one course at a time in the evening because that's all I had the money for and all I had the time for. But I did finish it and survived the thesis. And I kind of did that not only to have it be applicable here, but, you know, just to have it. No one can ever take it away from you if you need it in the future. So,
You should ever kick me out.
Oh, listen to this.
well, I certainly would never do this business on my own. You know, I do a lot of the paperwork for the subdivisions, and I do a lot of the closings at the end of the process and push a lot of paper with a lot of help from, you know, the engineers and the surveyors and all of the other professional people. But I would never, you know, do this on my own. So you never know. You know, I have several friends who have become ill and passed away at a very early age, so I just thought it would be smart to have something that I could utilize here as well as fall back on, you know, if I needed to. So
Well,
I can't say enough about the Plattsburgh State program. It was very good, very good.
Some good educational institutions in this area, from the grade schools all the way up through the parochial schools and the public schools.
Yes.
We're fortunate here.
Yes,
And
I'm a product
up
of
un-
those,
up
and I
until
will say
fairly,
that.
Up until fairly recently, we kept these things secret to the rest of the world, but all of a sudden, we decided we better start telling people, get people to move here and buy houses here and
Yes.
settle here and work here. And we were talking in the car of people who work in Burlington. The market is so inflated over there that they buy and build houses on this side of the lake and drive back and forth every day.
Yes, they do, and they're very enchanted with our way of life here as well because there's very little crime and it's a wonderful place to raise children. And as you mentioned, the school systems are second to none in my opinion, and it's a very attractive package for people. And I think it's great that, you know, there's a sensible amount of growth going on in the North Country. I mean, I would hate it to see it ever become Houston, but
That's not likely to happen in our lifetime.
no, it's not. But it's I think flattering that, you know, people know what we already know and that it's a wonderful place to live.
It's a good place to work and live. And also in the car on the way over here, you talked about the wonderful group of people who work for your organization, Lee Custom Homes, too. 40 or 50 people. Many of them have been with you for a long time, and that says something for an organization. And it's nice to have people you can trust, people you know, people you can say, okay, there's the job. I'll see you Tuesday.
And we get so much positive feedback from the clients, who obviously, you know, we wouldn't be here with, you know, without those people, that they are so impressed with everyone from the excavation process right on through. And as I mentioned in the car, so many of the people that they put their heart and soul into this work, and I think it shows in the craftsmanship, but they take pride in what they do, and it's reflected in the homes. And I think that, you know, it's important that they meet the people that are going to live in the home and they have a rapport with them, and they get a feel for what they are looking for in the end product, and they really do their darndest to create it for them. And they're so talented, right from soup to nuts. And I think that without all of these people that do the work, you know, we certainly wouldn't be here. So I thank them all sincerely because they never cease to impress and amaze me.
Well, I hope you've learned something today. Every time we do one of these shows, come on over, Mark. Every time we do one of these shows, Calvin and I get a tremendous education. And if you wanted to know what the building business is about in the North Country, Plattsburgh, and Clinton County, I hope you got an education as well. Thanks a lot for inviting us on the Cook's Tour today.
Well, I can't say enough about you and Calvin, Gordy, you and Calvin, of what you're doing for this North Country. I can only think of when I'm going to be 70 years old, which won't be a long time from now, and sit back and watch these shows that you've done. And I think the children's children will see these, and I think you're doing a lot more for the community than what you guys realize. And we thank you very much for asking us to come into our company that we have and to see our homes. And I enjoyed it a whole lot, Gordy.
Well, not half as much as we did. Thanks again, and thank you, Lori, for
It was a
everything you
pleasure.
do.
Thank you.
North Country girl makes good, you know, Saranac girl. We've had a great deal of fun. We hope you join us next time. We hope you give us your suggestions on where you think we ought to go for our next Little Corner episode. This summer has been particularly inspiring for Calvin and me. We've been able to meet so many nice people, and we even managed to conjure up a nice sunny day most of the time. Who knows where we're going to be next time for our Little Corner?